Julie, listening in Florida on 91.1. Welcome to Open Line, Julie. How can I help you today?
Hi, thank you so much for taking my question. So my question is, with everything happening with Israel right now, I've come across two kind of groups of Christians. The first that say, pray for Israel. You know, the Bible tells us whoever blesses Israel will be blessed. Then you have another group of Christians that say the Israel of today is not the Israel of the Bible, that the Israel of today is those grafted into the body of Christ. And if you believe that Israel today is Israel of the Bible, it's dispensationalism, replacement theology, and that you're a Zionist. So this really has me confused on this issue, and I was wondering if you can give me some clarification on that.
Sure. Now, first of all, I did a whole program with Chris Fabry this past Thursday about this subject, and right in the middle of writing a book about it. So looking to the past, if you want to go to the website, to the Chris Fabry Live website, and listen to that program from Thursday, that might be helpful to people who are interested in this subject. And then also hang on, hopefully by the fall, that book will be out on the subject about biblical Israel versus modern Israel. Okay?
Okay.
That's the first thing. Secondly, to call someone a Zionist, unfortunately, has been made into a dirty word. A Zionist, Zion refers to Jerusalem and then ultimately the whole land of Israel. A Zionist is someone who believes that the Jewish people have the right of self-determination in their ancient homeland. It doesn't mean anything other than that Israel has a right to exist. And so I'm saddened that Zionist somehow has become something bad. I used to have a button many years ago that I would put on my jacket that said, God is a Zionist, because God believes in the right of Israel. He's the one that brought them back to the land of Israel. So now, the question, first of all, is biblical Israel, modern Israel, the same as it was, is it the same today as it was in the Bible? Well, it's not exactly the same. Israel had a monarchy in the Old Testament. Today, it's got a prime minister, it's not a king. It was a theocracy governed by God in the Old Testament. Today, it's a democracy. It's a secular democracy. And so it's not the same. Here's what's the same. In the Bible, Israel, the land of Israel, is the nation state of the Jewish people. Today, the land of Israel, the state of Israel, is the nation state of the Jewish people. Same difference. Maybe governed differently, but it's the same. Secondly, those who want to argue that it's different misunderstand the New Testament. Very plainly, the New Testament teaches that God is faithful to his promises to literal Israel. He's not going to take the promises of literal Israel and give them to the church. Church has great promises, not the same as the promises to Israel. God's going to be faithful to his promises. In fact, Romans 9 through 11 teaches, Romans 8 ends with nothing's going to separate us from the love of God. And you can just hear the objector saying, well, what about Israel? God's not been faithful to them. And so Romans 9 through 11 is the vindication of God that he's going to keep every promise to Israel. And that's how we know that he'll keep his promises to us. So if I can just direct you, there are a lot of verses we could look at. You'll have to wait for my book for that. But Romans 11:28 says this, regarding the gospel, they are enemies for your advantage. But regarding election or chosenness, they are loved because of the patriarchs, since God's gracious gifts and calling are irrevocable. So it's recognizing that Jewish people are opposed to the gospel, and that's to the advantage of Gentiles. That's why the gospel went out to the Gentiles. But regarding election, which is just a big word for chosenness, regarding their being chosen, they remain loved because of the promises that God made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. There's no replacement theology. God's going to keep his promises to Israel. Why? Because his gracious gifts and his calling of Israel are irrevocable, can't be changed. What is it talking about when it talks about the gracious gifts? Romans 9:4, it says, they are Israelites, and to them belong. And that whole sentence is governed by a present tense. Theirs are. The adoption as sons, God called Israel my son in Exodus 4. The glory, the covenants, including the land covenant, the giving of the law, the temple service, and the promises, including the promise of the Messiah and the promise of land. The patriarchs are theirs, and from them, by physical descent, came the Messiah. So God's going to keep every promise to Israel. There's no replacement theology. I think it's crucial that we understand that there truly is a blessing in the Abrahamic covenant. God will bless those who bless the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Those who bless Israel will be blessed, and God will treat those with contempt who have treated Israel with contempt.